be watching this. But anywho, I am heading to the Urban Collective's live podcast. Yes, y'all. I gotta give it up to the Urban Collective. Like, they for real doing their thing. This is the end of their second season. Goals. Somebody playing real loud music. What's happening? Anyway, so they're doing a live podcast focusing on the power of transparency. And y'all know, if y'all been rocking with me since day one, y'all know I'm all about transparency. Ask and I will tell. So they have a special guest, Julia. She is the first Latina of the Boston City Council. You know, it's all about diversity and letting people know that there are lots of different kind of people in Boston, in the world. We exist. So shout out to them. I'm heading there. I'm running late, clearly. It started at 12. It's like 12:15. So, I can keep going. So I will come back when I get there. Right now I got to focus because, you know, people, they drive recklessly. So I'll be back.
I'm so excited to be here. Listen, this is our live podcast. My name is Bernadine, also known as Bernadine Truth, and I'm alongside.
My name is Stefan, also known as NIC.
Yes, and we are the hosts of the Urban Collective Show. We are super excited to be here with all of you this afternoon. Are y'all ready? Yeah. Are y'all ready for our live podcast? Yeah. Listen, we are 2 years in the making. We are walking into year 3. It has been an amazing journey. One full of highs and lows with amazing celebrity guests from the city of Boston. But we're really excited to be here. We're excited to have all of you in our audience, to really have this opportunity to really incorporate all of you in our going into year 3 journey. As podcasters, we really focus on curating spaces to really allow people in the city of Boston to share their stories. People who are doing phenomenal things, many of which are under the radar, are unsung heroes. A lot of them are also people a number of individuals in the city of Boston do know. But we really like to focus on not just the end result of what you're doing, but the journey on how you came to be that person, right? And how are you juggling life? How are you juggling family? How are you juggling your personal goals and aspirations? Yes. And, you know, being able to provide platforms to be very transparent is something that we really prioritize. And so to be here in year 2, well, celebrating year 2 and going into year 3, it's a great joy for us to have a celebrity interview guest with us all. And I'm not going to go into it too much until we introduce her, but I'm really excited to have you all in the audience to share on this journey with us. And I see.
You said everything, pretty much. You covered everything. Thank you, everyone, for being here, for taking your time out of your Saturday. I know everybody's busy. There's a lot of stuff that's going throughout this city, which we love. So thank you for spending the time with us, coming here. And like Bernadine said, we have a great interview coming up for you. We can't wait for you guys to hear.
All right. So are y'all ready to rock with us?
Yeah.
Are y'all ready to rock with us? Yeah. Like many residents in the city of Boston, immigration is part of Julia's story. She was born in the Dominican Republic, and Julia arrived in the neighborhood of Dorchester when she was 5 years old. Raised by a single mother who was undocumented for most of her childhood, she began advocating at a young age on behalf of her mother and others who felt ignored and underserved by the very institutions that were supposed to serve them. How many of us know what that feels like? By a show of hands, right? Not being served by systems that are designed or we're told are designed to support us. A true advocate. So Julia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right. So Julia, tell the people who you are.
Yes.
Well, I think you guys, didn't she already do that, y'all? You know who I am.
What I missed.
Nah, you know, well, one thing is that I am an Afro-Latina, right? Okay, so I claim my Afro roots, and most Latinos need to be educated on that, right? Because we all came, our ancestors were abducted from the same country, and the only thing that makes us different is the port that we ended up landing in, right? And so for me, as an Afro-Latina who deeply claims my roots, and you know, it's all about my natural hair and the whole 9 yards, I spend a lot of my time trying to educate folks about the fact that when it comes to the struggle, that we're all having the same conversation and that we're pushing for social change, and Latinos need to recognize that they're black too. So, in case y'all listening out there, you better claim it, okay? Y te lo voy a decir en español por si acaso no entienden, okay? Latinos, ustedes son black, you know,
Sí,
también, okay?
And to me, when I think about your election and your race, this is what the special moment is all about. Celebrating you. And like you said, you won by 22,000 plus votes, not just one. But that was an intense election, right? So I want you to take us back to that moment when you heard you won. And then it was like, but actually pause for a second. You didn't win. What was that like?
Oh my God. Oh, wow. So on November the 5th, when I allegedly thought I won by 10 votes, I was like, oh, I won by 10 votes. I was so excited. And you know, to see the sea of people that were at our election party, and you were there too, I was overwhelmed because there were people who had never even voted before. There were people who had never even registered that were so super excited about this whole idea that actually that their vote mattered. But I have to say this, is that what really got to me after the recount was over was that when I was told, or when I heard that it was just one vote, because I had been saying, even if one vote, we still won. I was like, dang, I kept saying that. And you know how you speak it into existence?
Exactly.
And that was God saying, see, I told you, right? So anyways, one vote. But when I went to bed that night, and I had to tell my daughter that we were not sure if it was over, because my opponent had tweeted that she was gonna determine whether or not she was gonna go to court to fight this one vote. I felt like the wind was knocked out of me completely because we had already won, right? And I did not want to fight this in the courts, because what you would do then is take the power away from the people. And we already have a justice system that we don't believe in. So to have this election be decided by a judge felt some kind of way to me. And I was nice, you know, if anyone who was following me, but, oh, she's so gracious, look how, like, happy, she don't care. I'm like, no, I didn't care about all that because that was a democratic process. But to go to bed and then having to wonder whether or not you were gonna have to fight this in court made me feel some kind of way, especially because the ballots that we were gonna fight were ballots of people who had never voted before. You care about. I know Ayana set the stage, and I'm just trying to fill up her shoes, and I got her office, y'all. That's where my office is. I got her office. That's what I asked for, and so, you know, God is good. So I'm there to represent and bring our people forward. But yeah, it's been an incredible roller coaster and emotional, and I still think like, you know what, y'all? I kept thinking, oh my God. Until the ceremony, I thought that somebody was gonna knock on my door and say, yo, we made a mistake, you didn't win. Because, you know, things like that don't happen to people like us, right? And so for me, even working at MTV, I got in there through the back door. I went there I was doing some casting and helping them find someone, and they said, well, why not you? I had big hair, you know, I had worked with young people. So they put me on to cover the presidential elections. But I will say this, is that the only reason why I'm standing here in front of you today was because it was Liz Walker, who was the first African-American anchor in the state of, a news anchor in the state of Massachusetts. She shared her story at my high school, right? And I was almost 20 years old. I was 19 and a half by the time I graduated high school, so I had stopped going to school, I went back. And she shared her story about what life was like for her, being an African-American anchor in the racist state of Massachusetts. And I was so inspired by her story that I decided to graduate high school and go on to college. And we never know we never know how we're going to disrupt people's lives just by sharing our stories, which is one of the reasons why everywhere that I go, I speak my testimony, right? I speak my truth, because we never know who we're going to inspire. And that's what Liz Walker did for me, and I stand here in front of you because of her. You know?
Thank you so much.
Yeah. One thing I did want to go over with you, I know we have had a recent trend of a lot of women being elected into being representatives on the federal level and also locally. What are your thoughts on that, and why do you think that trend is happening? And the second part to that question is, what do you say to the people that are out there saying, oh, women are not fit to be leaders and representatives and hold these high office positions?
Okay. Where you at? Who's saying that out there? I'm gonna have to school you on a few things. It's Mother Earth, right? So, you know. So I think that, I think personally is that women have been leading movement for ages and decades, right? But the problem is that I think that there's a misconception about women being emotional. Not that I shouldn't be saying that because I've been crying everywhere that I go. Like, yeah. But I think that people have a perception of leadership. You know, women, especially Black women, you know, we are more aggressive. People think that we're angry. We show up into spaces and people don't know what to do, right? They don't know how to handle this. And I think that all of those things are assets, right? So I think that our personality and the way we show up is exactly the type of fire that we need in city government, because that's what's going to hold people accountable. When I say to people who don't think that we're fit, I just say, can you step to the side and let us lead, period, end of story. There's not much to say other than that. It's like, you know what, we've been doing this work anyways, and the fact of the matter is that women are resilient. You know what I'm saying? We hold it down every single day, okay? And I think that those are the sort of things that we need to start celebrating, and oftentimes we lead with our deficits, right? And I'm coming from a strength base, right? We are like juggling our finances, we're juggling to make our ends meet, we're holding people up, and all of those things need to be celebrated, and all of those things translate into leadership. And I think that that is the narrative that I'd like to change, and I think that, you know, Ayana is doing it, AOC, I'm a big AOC groupie, you know what I mean? And I know she was watching MTV when she was little, when I was on the air, that's probably why she is the way that she is, that's right, AOC.
You're in here, you're elected, you have a seat at that table. Has anybody ever given you any advice on do's and don'ts? And has anybody given you some backlash on how transparent and vulnerable you are with the world?
Yeah.
What do they say?
So, for people who know me, know that I don't have a poker face, right? I'm one of those type of individuals, if I walk into a space, I already, If you say something I don't like, I'm like, right? Like, I wear my emotions, right? But that's a blessing and a curse, right? Because then you already know what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling. You can just look at my face and you already know that's what's funny about you, right?
Yeah.
So I've been told that I need to work on my poker face, y'all. And I'm gonna try to do that. Because politics is politics. I also have been hip to the fact that everything is transactional. And I don't like that.
Tell us more. What do you mean by transactional?
Like everything's like, you do this for me and I do that for you, right? And I don't feel comfortable with that way of doing business, right, in the city, or just in general, right? So I'm really going in to do things my own way. Change everything, because we have this preconceived notion of what a politician is, or what an elected official is, and how I should talk, and how I should be, and how I should roll up into spaces. But I'm gonna be all of who I am, because I'm not gonna leave myself at the door so other people can feel comfortable. Right. Because people do that for too long. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I want to show up and be, because we can't leave ourselves behind. And that's what we've been asked to do for far too long. So when I walked in, I walked out feeling incredibly proud, but I kept thinking about all the people who I met along, right? I've been one of those people that I can be in the hood, like they say, from the boardroom to the street corner. Like, I've been that chick. You know, I can be in any space, right? I'm a chameleon, and so it's that ability to be in different spaces that has helped me navigate all of these different worlds, right? But the thing is that in every space that I'm in, I'm always myself, right? And there were times when I first started running for office that there were some people who told people, they didn't tell this to my face, but I know they were talking about that they didn't want Julia to be the Cardi B of the election, right? Because I am that way, right? I just show up and I just speak it, and that's it. And there were some people that were concerned about my image and whether or not I was ready to represent, and that I had a lot of potential, but they were concerned about how I showed up. And so that hurt my feelings, right? Because if who I was made people feel like I wasn't ready just because of the way that I spoke and how I showed up, I had to deal with that a little bit. And so it got to a point, and I used to go, y'all, right? And some people have feelings about it, and so I had to, stop going, stop doing that. graduation party.
I was like, you did it too.
And I did that as a I did it anyways, right?
And
I'm hood, and I'm all up in here. What now, right? And so that was my moment of okay, I don't have to, none of us have to be anything other than who we are, just so that we can lead. And that was it. That was for me my moment of my moment of that's it. We have all arrived. And I walk into spaces, when in City Hall, and when people say counselor Meija, I'm like, wow, don't call me that. That feels weird, But navigating that is part of the journey for me. It's true that if there was any piece of information or any source of inspiration that you got in this space, is that you share it with someone else. Because that is the blessing that we have a responsibility to do, is to share with others the inspiration that we have, okay? So I just want to say thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to babble all Saturday afternoon with y'all. And no, seriously, you know what? My office is always open, to answer your questions all day, every day. And sometimes when people just want us to give us their card, I say, no, I want your phone number too, because I want to be able to follow up and make sure that you got connected to what it was that you were looking for.
And I appreciate that. Julia, tell our listeners where they can follow you and where they can keep up with you and your work.
Yeah, so I'm at my IG, right?
Yep.
IG is Julia for Boston. My Facebook is Julia for Boston. www.Julia for Boston. Instagram, Julia for Boston. All day, every day.
That's it.
You can find us there. And then in the city of Boston, I don't know what the main number is, but you can Google it. The city of Boston, and then just ask for Julia Meija, and you get transferred over to me. I don't know those details yet because we just got our phone numbers and our email addresses, and so I don't know it by heart, but I'm sure y'all can find me. And I'm always out in the streets. That's one thing about me. You will always see me everywhere because that's what the work is all about, is showing up. So I look forward to seeing you out there, okay?
Thank you so much, Julia.
Thank you.
Before we officially